season premiere Monday, February 3rd on the CW.
Sounds good. Nigeria Chambers from Big O Belt Media. Antonio, Alexis, thank you so much for your time today. Congratulations. Welcome to the All-American family, which new episodes are premiering weekly for this 7th season, 13 episodes. Y'all not playing. Y'all really not playing, are y'all? How's it doing? How y'all feeling?
First, thank you for having us, and hello, Antonio.
Well, yeah, bro. Happy to be here, man. Nice to meet you.
Antonio, don't roll up on me like Khalil, man. Don't roll up on me like
that. Sweet boy. I don't know why y'all doing this.
Nah, but let's talk about Khalil, because Khalil is definitely a complex character. And I think when we were first introduced to him, you're like, oh, he's a troublemaker, because you know everybody. We love some Amina off the break. So like the fact that we see that he's, you know, that guy that every parent fears, like, oh, don't mess with him and whatnot. But I've seen 2 episodes, and I'm telling you that, like, seeing the chapter turn with him is essentially what the world needs to do a better job of, and stop judging a book by its cover, because this is a young man that I think a lot of people can relate to. I want to know for you, this is not only a complex character, but it's an important character. It's a very important character. For you, what is it like to step into a character like Khalil, and talk a little bit about what his journey is going to be?
Yeah, great question, bro. I was working with my homies and with formerly incarcerated students before we did the show, and it was interesting because a lot of that was prep for this character. You know, not to mention I'm also from here. I'm from Inglewood, California. Went to school, Lenox Middle School, and went to school in Lawndale, and grew up in Compton and South Central and all these different places. So not only am I, you know, a replication of Khalil, but I also know a lot of him growing up. It's very interesting to see what a child that goes unloved looks like, you know? And I feel like one of the beautiful things about watching Khalil through this, his arc, is how he kind of changes, you know, being loved by friends like Amina, being loved by people like Jordan, and still having these complications, trying to find love in familiar places like with his father or with family or, you know, his neighborhood or whatever the case is. So I feel like, you know, it's a good reflection of just, you know, what happens to Black boys that don't have love, and what happens, how they evolve when they do, you know?
Yeah. I appreciate that, brother. That, like I said, very important. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this arc this season. And then another way, I just want to ask you, well, how do you feel about his relationship with football? My question is, will football save him?
I don't know. I hope so. I feel like I think about myself, right? You know, acting and art in general has been, you know, I paint now, I do photography, you know, been fortunate enough to work as an actor, and all of that has saved me in so many different ways that I don't know what I would be doing had I not had these art forms and these expressions. And I feel like one thing I really hope happens for more of us in general is that we find art earlier, you know, and for Khalil, his art form is football. You know, and I'm hoping that it does save him. But at the same time, like, you still live in the neighborhood you live in. You still live in the home you live in. You still have distractions. So all of that stuff serves as an enemy to trying to pursue whatever you're passionate about. So my hope is yes. But one thing that we'll find throughout the season is Khalil continue to face different challenges that, you know, try to take him away from what he wants.
Yeah, you're having sent, my brother. I appreciate the answers. Alexis, we got to talk about you, man, because I feel like a lot of guys take women and characters like Amina for granted. And although she has her own challenges, but like, she's one of those type of people when people said, like, I know you entered my life for a reason. And we see the impact that she's making across the board with each and every character she interacts with. Again, another very important character. You two come in on the 7th season. They're like, yeah, we got something special for you too. And then they loaded up for real. I just want to know for you, just how important was this character? And I got to ask you the messy question. Who is it for her? Is it Khalil or KJ? Come on now.
May the best K win. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's 2 Ks. May the best one win. I don't know what Amina gonna do. How she feels, you know, but may the best one win. I genuinely love Amina. I think what is so beautiful, a message that I got from one of my other castmates, Greta, shout out to Greta, but she was like, we were speaking about characters, and she's like, you can't judge your character, because Amina does. She's trying to rebel. She's doing what she can with what she has, with the life that she's lived. She's lived a tough life. She lost her mom. She's also grieving. I think what is so beautiful in a sense is like grief can be an ugly process, but grief can also be beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that her heart is very pure, even though she's trying to make her dad see her as grown. It's with good intention. And she did grow up pretty early, considering the death of her mom, and us seeing her at 10, 11, and seeing her father go to prison and having to move back in with her grandparents, and then having to readjust to coming back into her father's life. She's gone through a lot, and still she stands. I think what's so beautiful is still she stands. She's only, and I think it's so important that in this time we see a lot of single mothers, but what do we do with those little girls who don't have a mother and who only have their fathers? I think that is so special as she tries to navigate this new age. 16 is an important stage where you would ask your mother questions about, which boy do I go with? How, or tell dad that I can finally wear makeup. There's little nuances about life, and she's trying to solve that on her own because she doesn't have that mother figure. So I think that has been really interesting to try and find throughout her character, find throughout what is written about her, because life can be tough, but I think in the pockets that she finds, it's special. She's a Black girl. She goes to South Crenshaw High. She is building these new relationships with boys, with her father, with family dynamics, with Coop, with Layla, with Jordan. She's finding herself, and she's finding herself through her community, which I feel is really beautiful. And at her core, she is just so pure-hearted that it's almost like a gift to meet herself with people.
Yeah. Resilience is such a beautiful thing. And I truly feel like that's the themes amongst both of your characters. And I can't wait to see how this all plays out. So last question I'm going to leave you off with, Alexis, is, when she takes this moment, she goes and gives KJ a kiss. And you talk about the measure of rebellion because she does talk a lot about, again, not being deemed as the little girl, and also sick of everybody telling her what she is and what she's not. Now, you mentioned grieving, and I'm glad you touched on that because people think grieving means that you're just sad all the time, but grieving could look any way, but processing is really the journey. Talk about what she's doing, the measure of rebellion, but how is this deemed as processing, or is she even processing at all throughout all of this?
I think she has a fair balance because she knows there's limitations around. She's still not a kid she's pushing her limits. She's seeing how far she can push her limits and where that takes her with the people in her life. So with Khalil, for instance, in that scene, in that moment, it clicks. Well, earlier on in the episode, she has this moment with Coop. Coop is like, "I'm my child, not my problem." But like, who are you trying to prove this to? Yourself or other people? And by the time she gets to the beach with Khalil, I think that when he's telling her, well, why are you here? You need to go home. She's like, no, these are one of those moments that I get to show someone. And her friendship with Khalil is very, very strong, but she's also trying to get him to see her as an equal counterpart, so that, yes, she may like him a lot, but he doesn't see her as an equal counterpart. So one way to do that is to show him, you know what? If I'm not grown, then would I do this? Which, hey, I think she's processing. She's just trying to find it. She's finding her footing, and she's testing her limits. And even she realizes that, yes, she can test her limits, but sometimes don't do too much because she still has to go and apologize. Because she was like, wait a minute, I know myself. I got a little ahead of myself. So I think it's sometimes you got to step outside of yourself to come back to yourself. And that's one of those moments for her.
It's interesting how synonymous that sounds with Khalil's journey as well too. But we will see. We have a long season ahead of us. But for the meantime, Antonio, Alexis, thank you so much for your time, folks. Check out All American new episodes weekly. It's been an absolute pleasure today.
Thank you so much, man. Good one.